it's not going to take weeks. This isn't something that will happen overnight. That could be detrimental, just the hanging over us. But I think the long run says that it advances us that much further. If it means clarity afterwards, I think that could be more beneficial than hitting a cycle.
A lot of people were talking about like another shoe to drop potentially with that lawsuit and how some of it didn't make sense because some of the claims are things that the SEC themselves don't really have much jurisdiction over. Do you, well, this is a bigger question probably for later, but I mean, do you think as far as the lawsuit as it's written, we're almost a week and a half out from it here, do you think the SEC tries to allege anything else at this point, or do you think that's basically just what we've got with what they've said so far?
Well, usually I think they throw in as much as they can to see what sticks. We kind of went over it last week, and we determined that it looks like it's written by a college intern that really didn't have many facts. So I don't know that they'll add on to it. I think they've already put enough in there of stuff that was just not factual in the first place. We'll be lucky to see any of it stick, in my opinion. Cabana said it here too. We're seeing a lot of people say, just settle it, be done with it so we can move on. But I think the right move is to fight it. And just because of the wording, just because of the way that we see that it's written, and we know what Hex is. We know it's decentralized. It was launched as a finished product. Just so many things on top of each other that say we should really fight this. Richard is the man to do it. Educate them in the space. Hopefully, the court themselves too. So
right, yeah.
I don't think there's much added to it. They've added enough already that probably won't stick. Hopefully we embarrass them, or Richard embarrasses them.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm with you. And shout out to Cabana because some of the he had a couple of streams, or at least was on a couple of streams over this last week. I checked out; they were awesome. But I think he's 100% right. Yeah, the people that just want the price to go up obviously want him to settle, and that's one of those things where it's like, what level of admission of guilt, or what would the there's all these details, and the lawyers would have to get talking and all this, but like, I wonder if there's a point where Richard would be comfortable admitting, if you will, some sort of guilt, even though like clearly what they're alleging he did with sacrifice funds, we've already said it. Not only is it untrue and very hard to prove, even if you could, but there's actually proof that he did not do that because it's on chain. That's kind of the insane thing about that second allegation. But I just wonder like what the point would be where he would just say, you know what? This is a slap on the wrist. These guys just want paid. We all know it's about money. We know 100% it's about money. These are people that don't have the talent, the skill, the knowledge that Richard and a lot of other of these crypto creators have, and they just want their piece of the pie. That's really what it is at the end of the day. So do you think there's a point where he just says, fuck it, and pays them and moves on? Or, I know, he wants to win, and that he wants bragging rights, and that he wants to have his day in court possibly too, so to speak. Is there a point you think he would just pay that fee for, whatever reason?
I don't think so. I think Richard likes to win. He is a serial winner. He mentions it many times in the film. He makes sure people know that he's not a lucky guy. He's been winning for a long time. I think also the pride that goes with it, and he's a cheapskate. He admits that himself. He's cheap.
Yeah.
He doesn't like to spend money if he doesn't have to do it. I really don't think he just says screw it and let's settle. Unless he sees it going the wrong way, which I don't see it. We clearly fail all 4 legs of the Howey test. I don't see it. Unless he just doesn't want to take the time to do it or show up, that could be another issue too. I don't know if he'll have to be in person. I would imagine so. But I think everything is on the side of Hex, and he's playing 3 steps ahead, just like he always does. I don't see him doing it. I don't see him paying or settling.
I don't see him doing that either. But I mean, like, again, there's so many different ways and nuance to settling, quote unquote, something like that, that, you know, his attorneys or something could work up something specific. Who knows? I'm not saying that he's going to do it, or, you know, it's a shakedown. I mean, bottom line, like we said, that's what it is. So we'll see which way he goes. I don't think the people that are worried about some kind of like multi-year, decade long, I mean, that's clearly out of the realm of possibility, I think, but some huge long fight that, you know, could weigh down the ecosystem forever. And I even wonder, you know, the longer the fight goes on, how much the ecosystem would be weighed down. We're going to get to Ripple and XRP here in a moment, because there is some developing news with the SEC as far as that goes. But there's been, obviously, us included, a lot of comparisons between what's happening with Richard and what happened with Ripple, and the difference in the price performance too, because Ripple, that was already its, at least, I believe, second cycle. So it did not get back and touch all-time highs ever again. But that's also how many tokens do? You can't say that about a lot of tokens. So I mean, not only that, but you know, the weighing down of the SEC thing, the fact that Ripple's just not really that fantastic of a product or anything like that compared to PulseChain and a lot of this stuff. So
a big thing with that too is they got delisted from everywhere. Ripple was taken off of all major exchanges. We don't have that problem because we weren't there in the first place. So, you know, if anything, it's taught people how to use DeFi correctly. We don't have the problem of the delisting. It's not going to really hurt. If anything, it helps educate some people on how to do it the right way. So, you know, we don't have that issue of the delisting and I don't know that they ever got deranked. I don't think on so. Like on you know, one of the ranking sites or anything like that, but again, it can't hurt us because we aren't listed anywhere to begin with. So I believe you know, I think that's a big advantage for us.
I think so too. And also just as far as the cycles go, PulseChain, PulseX, this is their first cycle. I mean, the tokens have been out for a couple of months at this point. So I'm not so worried about the suppression of the price or anything like that. I mean, this community, I think, is stronger and more fervent than the XRP or Ripple community or anything like that. It's just, they are different in those ways. I guess what I will say, since we're talking about Ripple for a moment, is there was news just 2 hours ago that the SEC is appealing the judge's ruling of XRP not being a security. Where do you think this goes, Ewok? I guess that by about a week from now or so, they have to meet in some fashion to decide if they're going to move forward with this appeal. I didn't read too far into it. I don't think there's too much news yet. Nobody from Ripple had commented, but what do you think? I mean, like, this is just these guys, you know, everybody is singling in on Hex and everything right now. This is not unique to Hex. I mean, clearly, the Ripple thing's already been going on for a number of years, and they basically just, the SEC went back in June, I think it was, just went down a list of coin market crap or whatever and named like the top 10 tokens by market cap, and basically were like, yeah, we think these are all securities too.
Yeah. Well,
so whatever, you know.
I agree. I think they're gonna come after all of them. I really do, especially with the appeal. I didn't get a chance to read it either. I didn't find out about it until you and I jumped on in the green room right before we started. So I haven't had a chance to read the appeal, the paperwork, or anything like that. I know, who was it? Altcoin Daily posted says that's where I saw it quickly right before we started. So I don't know. I don't know that anything will come of it. You know, I'm hoping that the judges get tired of looking at this stuff and be like, we just made a decision. What, you know, that's what we're gonna stick with, I hope. And you still have your picture of your
buddy up. Still got Jim Leahy up there,
Mr. Leahy.
Yeah, camera disconnected for some reason.
But yeah, I don't see much coming from it. You know, the price has already been hurt a little bit, so I don't see them suffering in that way. I would hate to see them miss another cycle because of this. And I don't know who said it earlier. I guess, you know, it's not going to take weeks. You know, this isn't something that will happen overnight. So, you know, that could be detrimental, you know, just the hanging over us. But I think the long run says that it advances us that much further. So I'm willing to, I'm not willing. I don't want to skip a cycle at all. But if it means clarity afterwards, for people that just say, listen, it's already been determined. We know we're not a security. I think that could be more beneficial than hitting a cycle.
So. I just really wonder how much people are going to care about that when the bull market is at fever pitch. You know what I mean? At some point, these lawsuits and things like that, I mean, the SEC just throws out frivolous lawsuit after frivolous lawsuit. And if all of these things, if everything's moving up in price, and we've already got this built-in community, there's this documentary, which we're going to get to again in a minute. I just don't know if people are going to care that there's ongoing court proceedings. You know what I mean? I don't know if they even will know what it means. And I'm talking about more new. I'm not talking about us and everybody watching now. I'm talking about, more retail coming back next year, maybe in 2025. I just don't know how much those people are going to really be paying attention to that. I mean, and I know I always do this, and I know they are slightly different things, but look at the Donald Trump phenomenon right now. I mean, every single day, it's like they may levy up to 15 new indictments again. It's like, who gives a shit, dude? Nobody cares about this. Nobody believes that any of this stuff really happened. Nobody even really cares if it did, really. Right. I mean, we know they're all criminals. Nobody cares. Move on.
And the thing is, the more cases that come out, if they do start going after all of them, I think it puts less emphasis on all of them in general.
Right.
It's just
you get a lawsuit.
Like one more. Yeah, everybody gets a lawsuit.
Yeah.
So it's not very meaningful. And that could actually benefit everybody because, like, you're right, no one cares anymore. At this point, they're just going after whoever they can to see what they can win to extort money. It's all money grab. They obviously are not. We said this last week. They're not looking out for you, the investor. They're looking out for the banks. They're looking out for their, big name cronies that are losing money because of crypto.
And that's totally true. I mean, like, so far it's been mainly Ripple and now Richard Hart, Hex that have been under fire here. But what happens when there are lawsuits levied against Polygon, Matic, Solana, Cardano? I mean, at that point it would be like, okay, we're investing in this stuff. We don't really care what you guys have to say. So so we'll obviously continually be talking about this and see what happens with the SEC, but pretty much everybody dislikes Gary Gensler, and there's actually legislation being introduced to remove him and totally reform the SEC. So we'll see where all that goes.